Davies, and I'm here today to talk to you about Ardbeg and Noah. Now, Ardbeg is definitely an Islay beast. If you like peat, then you'll like Ardbeg. It has one of the highest levels of sort of peat in its malting, so it has a level of 50 ppm. So it really got a lot of concentration, a lot of smoke. But for me, Ardbeg, the smoke in Ardbeg is always this lovely kind of slightly smoky bacon roasted meat peat. It's not quite the medicinal peat of, say, Lefroy. It's not the sort of sweet peat of Kilchoman. It kind of sits somewhere in between. So if you're a bit of a peat monster, this is definitely a dram to try. And Anoa is one of the newest in the stable. It was released not so long ago, only a few years ago. And what's interesting about Anoa, where in Ardbeg, sort of in the general range, they use a lot of ex-bourbon, here you have that influence of course, very sort of heavily charred virgin oak casks. You've got some lovely sweet sticky PX casks in there, and of course that classic ex-bourbon. So there's a few more layers going on in here in Anoa. And on the nose for me, you get that. You know, I think this is actually one of the more sort of, if you were going to say Ardbeg had an entry level or something to kind of draw in the peat, someone that's maybe a little bit afraid of peat, I would say Anoa's the dram for you, because the peat is there, but then you have this richness, that sweetness of all those different casks coming through, that lovely vanilla, that lovely kind of bit of almost sort of dried fruit, salted, treacle-y notes. And that will sort of envelop that peat that's sitting behind and make it a little bit more approachable. So if you want to kind of dip your toe in the peat water or try out a little bit, something a bit peaty, I think Anoa is a really, really, really great approachable whiskey to try that with. On the palate, this is classic Ardbeg. Has that rich smokiness, but again, as I said, it's that roasted sort of pulled pork. And then you've got a little bit of kind of that sort of sweet, soft spices in there. I really get a lovely whack of vanilla. I get some really lovely toasty notes. It's quite round and full on the palate. You know, this is a dram that you can sit and just enjoy. Even I think if you added a little bit of ice, it would hold it because it's quite thick and rich. Now, for me, if you wanted to kind of pair this with like a cheeky little bit of food, I love this with a bit of blue cheese because it's got that salty tang from the blue cheese, it's got the salty tang from the peat, and then it's got the sweetness that will just kind of counterbalance that sort of intensity of the blue. And this will stand up. Smoked salmon, you can pair it with a really dark, I would say a smoky chocolate, maybe about a 70% chocolate, because you want something that's got a bit of smokiness to it. This is a really lovely whiskey. If you want to explore Ardbeg for the first time, why not raise your glass and have a wee dram.